Hi, I'm Ellen Gormley and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do another stitch and read pattern. So I'm going to read the instructions with you, teaching you how to read the instructions, and we are going to stitch it together. And it is a stitch pattern from this great book by Dora Orenstein, The New Tunisian Crochet by Dora Orenstein, and I'll put a link in the description for this book. But we're going to do this stitch pattern here, this light green number 19. So take a good look at that, and I'm going to put the book aside and then we'll get started. So we're going to read the full instructions ahead of time, making note of how each stitch works. And we're going to start with chaining a multiple of 2 plus 1. So I have 3 on my hook, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a multiple of 2, and add 1 because that's what it told us to do. So we are going to work the basic foundation row is what it says here. And if we go back to the glossary of the book, we know that that means to just pull up a loop in each chain across. Very common, very typical of most stitch patterns, although always read your instructions because there are some stitch patterns that immediately start the pattern in the beginning chain instead of doing this foundation simple stitch all the way across. Also, while we're doing this, we can look at the stitch definition or stitch dictionary or special stitches. Right under where it says stitch 19, it says TDC under 2 vertical bars. We know that TDC, according to the book, is Tunisian double crochet, and they're telling us how to do 2 of them under 2 vertical bars. So when we get to that in the pattern, we will know to go to that instruction if we need help or need a reminder. So work the basic foundation row. Also in the note, it says instructions are for forward pass. So all the instructions are for the forward pass only. She's telling us to work the basic return pass throughout the pattern. So no matter what the forward pass is, the return pass is going to be just the basic one. So yarn over and pull through 1. Yarn over and pull through 2 all the way across. Remember, if you're new to Tunisian crochet, I have a whole Tunisian crochet playlist on my channel, including another one of these read and stitch along Tunisian crochet, so that you can learn how to read the patterns, look at the diagrams, and get started for yourself. So I always like to balance the instruction with the symbol diagram and make sure that they kind of agree, that they say the same things. And if I ever get confused about one or the other, I can use it as a checks and balances. So on the diagram, the first row is all Tunisian simple, which is indicated by these little vertical hash marks. One little box indicates each stitch, 1 stitch per box. And then this little squiggle over the top is the return pass. And I can glance at this very quickly and see that every return pass item is the same all the way across for each stitch. So very basic foundation row. Then it says, oh look, it's a 2-stitch repeat, 1, 2, repeat 2 stitches, which makes sense because it's a multiple of 2. And also we're going to be repeating rows 1 and 2. Not the foundation row is not going to count as a row. There's no numeral next to it. It's just going to be like the foundation of a house. It doesn't really count as the house, but it's like the house sits on it. So this row and this row are the ones we're going to repeat over and over again across or along the fabric. All right, here we go. So row 1, now that we've done the foundation row, chain 1. I'm going to chain 1 because that's what it says to do. Then 2 double crochet or Tunisian double crochet under the next 2 vertical bars. And reading the instructions for Tunisian double crochet under 2 vertical bars, let's read along. Yarn over, insert the hook under the next 2 vertical bars, so 1, 2, draw up a loop, drawing up a loop, yarn over, drawing through 2 loops twice, but leaving 1 loop on the hook. Okay, so yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, but leaving 1 loop on the hook. How's that going to happen? If I'm supposed to pull through twice, how am I supposed to leave a stitch on the hook? I think I'm going to, oh, okay. So we are doing, see, sometimes designers write things differently. So instead of yarning over and drawing through 2 loops twice, this whole instruction is supposed to be twice. So yarn over again here, inserting under the 2 loops, again, drawing up a loop, yarning over and drawing through 2 loops, again, leaving a loop on the hook. So that makes sense. So the first stitch was here, then we did 2 vertical bars at the same time. So that's 1, 2. We're keeping an even stitch count. Okay, so we got it. So we're going to do that again from star across to the last 2 stitches. So we're going to do this again. Yarn over, go under 2 vertical bars at the same time, draw up a loop, and split the yarn there. I can feel it catching. Yarn over and pull through 2 and leave it there, and yarn over and insert under those same 2 vertical bars, pull up, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and leave it there. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so we're going to continue to do this all the way across the fabric. We know since we had a multiple of 12, remember, or I did 12 stitches, it's a multiple of 2 plus 1. So I think we're going to do this 6 times, right? So there's 3. And so let's see if this works out, because it is a 2-stitch repeat. Okay, yarn over, insert the hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert the hook, under 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, draw through 2. Go under those same ones again. Okay, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instances, and we have 1, 2 stitches left, 1, 2. And our instruction said to do this same thing all the way across to the last 2 stitches. And then for the last 2 stitches, we're going to do something different then. So Tunisian double crochet in the next bar. So insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and leave it there. And then it says Tunisian double crochet in the last bar. So, okay, we'll do that too. So at the beginning, we just did a chain 1 and that counted as a taller stitch, but this at the other end, she wants us to double crochet. So this is what we have here. Okay, that's the end of row 1. So let's do the return pass and move on to row 2. So the return pass, as usual, we're doing the same return pass that she says, the same basic return pass is what she's calling it. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way across. Whoop, did I go through too many? I did. Back up. Back up. It's okay, it's just yarn. I'm just using a worsted weight yarn, and I believe this is a size J Afghan Tunisian hook. It's just a plain hook where the shaft is the same diameter all the way down, and it is a size, oh, size I. I am mistaken. I stand corrected. Okay, so then row 2, this is what we look like so far, and we used we didn't use the diagram, but we could have if we didn't know how to read the instructions. We could have seen that, 2 of them go under here. This is an interesting symbol, though. I don't recall seeing it in other books, but we can read the instruction and say, okay, that's what this must mean. So that when we see it again above in future rows, we will know what it is visually by just glancing at it. Row 2, so chain 1 again. She has us chaining 1. Then she says Tunisian double crochet under the next bar, and under row 3, look, there's a Tunisian simple, and we're putting a double crochet there. Oh, I'm sorry, row 2. Sorry, we're on row 2 because the first one didn't count, remember? So we're actually only on row 2. So we're putting a Tunisian double crochet. That is the symbol for Tunisian double crochet there. Let me bring it up closer for you. So we did the foundation row, Tunisian simple stitch all the way across with the normal return pass. Then row 1, we did a chain 1, and then we did the 2 double crochets together and the 2 double crochets together. And we did that across to the last 2 stitches. then we did Tunisian double crochet in the next stitch and a Tunisian double crochet in the final stitch. Now this little dotted line that looks confusing, it's just indicating the difference between the forward pass and then these little squiggles are the return pass. So now we're on row 2. And by looking at row 2, we can see that this pattern is offset like bricks. So we're putting another stitch here that mirrors what happened over here and shifting the whole set over by 1. So that it's not directly on top of each other, but offset just a little bit. Okay, so here we go with row 2. Make sure you can see that on there. Okay, row 2, chain 1, so I did that. Then I'm going to Tunisian double crochet in the next bar, so we remember how to do that from these special stitches. Leaving 1 loop on the hook. You're always leaving 1 loop on the hook, at least, for this pattern. And then it says to do the Tunisian double crochet under the next 2 vertical bars, and then Tunisian double crochet under the same 2 vertical bars. And then we're going to repeat that back to star, repeat from the star. So we're not doing this part again, but we're starting here and repeating the same section over and over again to the last bar. So there will be 1 stitch left over. It'll be an odd number. So yarn over, put in my Tunisian double crochet here, do it again in that same spot because that's what the instructions told us to do. And then we'll do the next 2 vertical bars. Sorry, I got off the camera there a little bit. We'll do it again and I'll stay on camera this time. 2 vertical bars here. Yarn over and do it again under the same vertical bars. And we'll do it again all the way across to the last vertical bar because it warned us that there would be 1 left over and that we would do something different for that one. I need some more yarn. It's pulling a little bit. So this is just it is a DK or a light worsted size 3 yarn. And I'm using an I size hook. In general, you guys have heard me say this many times before that we need to, and my yarn is a little tangled, there it goes. In general, I like to use a hook that's slightly bigger than what the yarn would normally call for when working Tunisian. I like to use a little bit of a bigger hook. Tunisian crochet can make kind of a dense fabric, so if you use a bigger hook, it can make it a little drapier or more drapey, more flexible, more, not necessarily more lacy, but definitely makes it flop better. Okay, and we have 1 left here, so we know we're on the right track, and it says in the last one to across to the last bar, we are at the last bar, Tunisian double crochet in the last bar. Okay, we can do that. Yarn over, make sure you grab 2 bars along that edge, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, here is where we are after 2 rows rather. Then we will do the return pass as usual. And then we'll go back to row 1, not the foundation row, but the pattern row 1. And we will do that again because we are repeating rows 1 and 2 for this pattern, and the foundation row does not count as part of that. We will never do that foundation row again. It was just the first row, just the foundation of the house. All right, because you don't see a house where the foundation is like concrete and then you have a brick house and you don't put it like another row of concrete like in the middle. You know, it's brick from the foundation up. So once you have the foundation that's concrete, perhaps you continue with brick, then forward, and you never return to repeat the concrete part again. So chain 1, because that's what she tells us to do to make the stitch taller, knowing that we have Tunisian double crochet, which is a taller stitch going on. Now, since we're offsetting like bricks, I can see that these 2 were together over here between my thumbs. So I know that probably these 2 are going to go together because we're like putting these little fancy V's offset, not directly on top of each other. So back to row 1, chain 1, 2 Tunisian double crochet under 2 vertical bars, following that same special stitches if you need a reminder, because we're doing this twice. And then we're doing it all the way across, and you will begin to see the offset brick pattern happening. And then, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of this one says to the last 2 stitches, and then we will follow the instruction. So easy peasy. I hope this is helping you understand Tunisian crochet better with reading the patterns together as we work, so that you can get used to what words are used to describe these different tasks. Okay. So to the last 2 stitches, I think it says, yes, across to the last 2 stitches, then Tunisian double crochet in the next bar and Tunisian double crochet in the last bar. So we can do that. I am going to fast forward the video with the magic of video and do these rows again. You can repeat, play again and play again and again and again on this video until you get it the way you want to. And I'm going to fast forward, do a couple more rows, and show you where we are. Just one moment. The magic of YouTube. Bing. I'm back, and I wanted to tell you something that maybe was obvious to you, but I want to say it anyway. So as I'm doing the last grouping here on this row 2 of this pattern, when you go under 2 stitches at the same time, it is a decrease. So we're taking 2 stitches and making it 1. So we have decreased. But then we're increasing because we're using those stitches again. So the stitch count is staying constant. So even though working 2 stitches or working 1 stitch under 2 is a decrease, but we're doing it a second time, so it's an increase, so then we end up the same. So hopefully you are understanding that concept, but I just wanted to point it out because you could use the Tunisian double crochet under 2 vertical bars like in other places and other patterns, and it might decrease your stitch count if you don't balance it with an increase. Do you see what I'm saying? Anyway, for this row, we are finishing with a Tunisian double crochet in the next vertical bar and a Tunisian double crochet in the final stitch. Let's give you a better look of where that last one is going. So I tend to hold things crooked when I'm doing Tunisian. So these 2, sorry about my fingernails, these 2 strands over here on the edge is where we're going, right? In there, because this here is the chain. So in these 2 over here, okay? So I'm gonna aim for that right there, getting 2 of them in that final stitch, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pulling through 2, okay? So then we do the return pass. I am going to finish this pattern with a bind off row or final bind off row in just a moment. Now she does not specify in this stitch pattern how she suggests that we bind off this pattern. My personal preference is to generally bind off, quote, in pattern, which is the same as the pattern that we had been working in the body. So I will, the other thing you could do is you could do a foundation on top and go ahead and put the cement row on top of your brick of your house to make it balanced visually if you want it to look like it does down here for some reason. But in general, because these stitches reach into the bottom basic row, you can't really tell that that's concrete or that that's straight up and down because it reaches down in. So I think what I'm going to do is bind off in pattern. So binding off in pattern means chaining 1, and I'm going to make this up as we go along. So it looks like the next thing we would do would be do 2 of them together. So I am going to yarn over, insert this hook as if the pattern, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm changing it up and doing a traditional double crochet in that spot. And then I will do it again because we want the same number of stitches. Now at the end, if it looks like it's flaring out too much at the top, I will rip back the row and just do 1 of them or figure that out, because we don't want the top row to be wider than the bottom row. And actually, my brain is still doing Tunisian, so let's do that one again. Because I didn't finish off the stitch because I was too busy talking. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're finishing up the stitch like a traditional double crochet. The only difference from a traditional double crochet is that we are, how we're inserting the hook or where we're inserting the hook. So finish off that stitch like a regular crochet, double crochet. Okay, you seeing what I'm doing here? So yarn over, insert under 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And do it again because we're doing it in pattern or as similar to the body of the pattern as possible. If your brain doesn't know how to go back to traditional crochet after doing the Tunisian, just switch out hooks. Switch back to a regular plain old eye hook for the final row, and your brain will have an easier time clicking to do the traditional method. And Tunisian double crochet in the last stitch, and Tunisian double crochet in the last stitch, and let's fasten this sucker off and show you what it looks like. Oh, I didn't bring my scissors over here. Okay, so I would cut the yarn and feed it through the loop that's on my hook, and look how gorgeous that is. What a pretty pattern. Very pretty. It is not curling at all. Look at that. It's not curling at all. It's got nice lace to it. I like the little diagonals, a little bias, a little action going. Very pretty. This is what the back looks like. Also very pretty. Very pretty. So, of course, this would make a great sweater. This would make a great baby sweater. This would make a great top and a thinner, maybe a smaller gauge yarn. So I hope you have enjoyed this read and stitch lesson of the Tunisian, I don't even know what I'm going to call this, stitch number 19. It's Tunisian double crochets 2 together, or Tunisian double crochet under 2 vertical bars. So it's kind of a lengthy topic title, so I don't know what I'm going to call this video. But please like and subscribe to this channel. Click the notifications bell so you don't miss any more of these read and stitch videos. Check out the Tunisian playlist for more detail on all of these stitches and the basics if I've skipped ahead a little too far for you. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.